All right, next, I'd like to introduce Jane Vangsness-Frisch. She is the Vice President of Workforce at the Fargo Moorhead West Fargo Chamber of Commerce. Jane is a leader in higher education and workforce development. Throughout her career in public service and academia, she has led numerous initiatives and researched efforts focused on student success, workforce and economic development, accreditation, enrollment management, and advancing inclusion and equity initiatives. Dr. Vangsness-Frisch currently serves as the Vice President of the Workforce at Fargo Moorhead West Fargo Chamber of Commerce, where she leads efforts to strengthen workforce development and expand community programs throughout the region. Let's give her a warm welcome.
That was quite the introduction. Thank you, Kelly. And I do want to express my appreciation for all of you not only being here, but for the warm welcome that we continue to get and the great collaboration between the Minot community and region and the Fargo Moorhead West Fargo Chamber. We just really appreciate that continual and ongoing collaboration. So with that, today I'm here to talk about the Good Jobs Challenge and really what that means and what that could mean for some partners in our room and how we can better connect throughout the region and within the entire upper Midwest. So with that, again, I'm not going to reiterate the workforce crisis that we're in here in North Dakota in the upper Midwest, right? We know and understand our workforce participation is high. We know and understand that we need to activate different sectors of our workforce to meet that need throughout our entire region. And so I think the question is, why is the lady from the Fargo Moorhead West Fargo Chamber talking to us today in Minot? And why does this matter? Well, what is really exciting about this opportunity is the Good Jobs Challenge entire region is the entire state of North Dakota and the entire northern half of Minnesota. And so what I'm talking about is relevant to each and every one of you in the sense that I hope that we can connect either today, tomorrow, or even immediately after this to talk through how we can best meet our workforce needs through this really immediate opportunity. We've talked a lot today about some of the things that have impacted or do impact on a day-to-day basis our workforce. And we talked about the long game. You know, Katie really set that up this morning, that this is about the long game. I have an immediate that we can help try to solve this right now, which is exciting. So I get to talk about the now, and we'll talk about the future as well. So really, what is the Good Jobs Challenge? And where did this all come from? Well, the Economic Development Administration came out through some ARPA funding that says we need to do better about activating some of the historically excluded populations within our workforce in those opportunities, but also how do we better serve the regions that we haven't served? And one of those is our upper Midwest, and that includes us here in North Dakota. So the Economic Development Administration announced a NOFO for us to apply. Over 508 different organizations applied. We were one of 32 awardees, a $9.62 million grant that really was focused on enhancing the regional competitiveness related to workforce. I'm also a faculty member, so I'm used to more talking than looking down. So you'll have to excuse the awkwardness that's coming. But really, this is about building a worker-centered workforce connection and framework for the communities that we're serving. And so integrating that diverse and local stakeholders into the workforce is really what we're trying to do. So with that, what really are those outcomes? So essentially, locally, when I say locally, this entire region, by October of 2025, we are trying to upskill and enhance 900 people into our workforce that weren't previously upskilled. And when I say that, that might be an enhanced education and training that moves them to the next step in their job. That might be an individual that is new to our community that fits the need, that maybe is attracted from maybe internationally or a different region within the United States. So really our goal, our simplistic goal is to enhance our workforce through upskilling 900 people in our region, all of northern Minnesota and all of North Dakota. Nationally, I think we can understand that if we are able to do that, that will not only enhance our region, but enhance move that national needle as well as the workforce. Plus taking some lessons learned from areas, especially like ours, where In North Dakota, we're all connected. I walked into this room today and saw a lot of familiar faces, even though I'm from the eastern side of the state, and don't tell anyone, I'm actually a Minnesota resident. But truly, we are connected, and that is what they're trying to learn from us on how can we do this work, how can we test this work, pilot this work to bring this nationally as well. So we often get the question when we're looking at trying to get those 900 people into good jobs, what is the definition of a good job? Well, it's really simple in that upward mobility. For the definition for the Good Jobs Challenge and for the Economic Development Administration it is showing that upward trajectory for that individual. Okay. So whether that be that, as I mentioned before, that step for that individual, or maybe it's bringing that individual into the workforce that they previously hadn't. It's showing that upward mobility for them. It can be, as I mentioned, in a current or future position that they're wanting to apply for. And we're really striving for that $45,000 a year job or more. We recognize that a lot of our business and industry have identified that a high-paying job is needed to attract, but they need that upskilling. So even if they're making $45,000 a year or more, they're still eligible for that Good Jobs Challenge because of that upward mobility. So what eligible industries? So with the Good Jobs Challenge, EDA required us to identify the top 3 industries within North Dakota, within our region, to focus in on. And we do require the individuals be in these industries. Advanced manufacturing. That's pretty broad, and it was meant to be broad, right? Same with cybersecurity and IT, anything related to technology, not only manufacturing technology, but implementation, service support, that kind of thing. And then our agriculture continuum. So precision agriculture through food. So the entire agriculture continuum. We were also able to advocate that some of the logistics and support industries are a part of these 3. So for instance, we can help provide CDL licensure for individuals as an upskill. So what populations do we serve? This is also, as you know, as I shared, the EDA was really focused on including individuals that typically were historically excluded or some way excluded from the workforce. So the populations that we serve are new Americans or immigrants, veterans or those that have served our country, service members, those that identify as a person of color, whether that be Indigenous, Black, all of that. High school students, so this is an interesting one, and this is an exciting one, especially for our region, is engaging those individuals that are still in high school. So if they were within 6 months of a high school graduation, they are eligible. So we really try to look at those individuals that are wanting to go directly into the workforce. How can we get those skills so on their high school graduation date, we can get them right into that workforce. Individuals that identify as women in technology. So women in technology is very broad. An individual that might be in electrical technology or an individual that might be going into IT, cybersecurity would be eligible. And then those that are justice involved. And I want to point this one out because the definition that the Economic Development Administration worked with us on is a bit different than the typical justice involved. So if justice involved, that individual has been through our justice system, whether through prison, long-term probation, those kind of things. But also justice involved includes that +1. So maybe it was their parent that was justice involved directly. That individual, that child would also qualify under our program. So how does this work? So how are we upskilling? Well, there's a couple different pipelines and we'll talk about that. But one thing that we're very proud of is we have a lot of really great partners, training and education partners, and we're adding more and more every day. In fact, there's 2 on here that were just added. Lennis Welding, which is a welding technology trainer in the communities, as well as Generator, which is a virtual trainer. In addition, Bismarck State College, we are just finalizing their memorandum of understanding. But how that works is an individual can be upskilled through an education and training partner, or we can work with business and industry to identify who they're currently working with to provide that training and get them as an approved partner as well. So you can see the list there. And I also want to point out that this doesn't mean that if a person is, let's say, in advanced manufacturing, that they have to be trained on how to operate something new on that line. It can be leadership training, because we often know that we have people in our workforce that are really great technicians, but maybe they don't have the skills or never been shared those skills on how to be really great people managers, right? Or people technicians. And so you can see Dale Carnegie of Minnesota and North Dakota is up there as an approved training partner. For instance, at one of our local manufacturers in Fargo, we did a Spanish immersion training and leadership training for those individuals that are completely Spanish speaking to provide them the leadership skills that they need to supervise their colleagues. So how does this work? I think a lot of you are being practical about like, okay, I have an individual or I have a cohort of individuals at my business or industry partner that would want to do this. So there's kind of two streams that come into the Good Jobs Challenge. First, we work with business and industry. I want to call out Brenna Johansson. She is my colleague and my business and industry coordinator. She is the expert in this. If we had two microphones, we'd be doing duo up here. But that is what really Brenna works with, is our business and industry partners saying, I have 8 individuals that need a specific training. We're going to use one of your education and training partners, or will this training provider be approved? We have those 8 individuals fill out the form. We say back to that employer, 5 of the 8 are eligible, and we're able to offset that cost up to $5,000 per participant for that training and education. We often know that training and education doesn't cost $5,000, or maybe it's covered through WIOA or a third-party payer or some other avenue. But maybe one of the barriers is the fact that they don't have the funds to cover childcare for the second shift when they already work first shift and they're being trained on second shift. We can help with that. Truly, we can help with wraparound services. That is anything except for housing and employment offset. So we can't pay for lost wages for them to go to that training. So housing, don't even get me started on the federal government when we talk about housing. No offense to any federal government employees in here, but so that's kind of that cohort model. So they fill out the eligibility. We work with HR. They complete it. They do the training. We have to track that individual for the next 6 months, so we can show in our numbers that individual had some upward mobility, or else at least got that training, and that's how it works. The other opportunity that we're seeing really has been very, very interesting to us is the individuals that are coming to us, whether through word of mouth, shoulder tapping, or those one-offs that really are looking for that upward mobility. We've had some great collaboration with some of our job service partners, as well as others throughout our community. An individual comes in and says, I really want to learn how to code. We have another colleague that works directly with those individuals, identifying, helping align them with our different training and education partners. We work with them, we get them enrolled. We help them with any of those wraparound services that they would need up to that $5,000, and they go through training. It really is simple. I often get the question, especially when I'm talking to business and industry partners, so like, what's the catch? The catch is by October of 25. Okay, so this is very short-lived. As I talked about, this is not the long game. This is trying to get to the immediate right now. Interesting. I'm seeing a very beautiful picture, but not my picture. Okay, well, some reminders. I think we skipped a slide, but that's okay. Some reminders is that we don't pay the individuals directly. We pay the vendors and the organizations providing those services. So we'll work directly with the training and education providers. And then if an individual says like daycare, we would pay that daycare provider directly, those kind of things. And my slide, mind of their own over here. And then they also must meet that demographic and sector requirement. Again, the eligibility, we very much, that's very open. The eligibility is we tried to make it as broad as we could, everyone from individuals serving their country to women in technology, what have you, recognizing that the diversity in North Dakota might look different than diversity other areas. Again, it's up to $5,000 per participant, and again, that catch by September of 25. So we have until September 30th of 25 to meet this. So really, it is literally a year away. So here we go. So where are we at so far to that 900 goal? We have about 200 in our pipeline. 22 participants have finalized their upskilling, and about 25 placements have been made with regional employers. You'll note that some of them didn't complete their training. They went directly into the workforce about midway through their training. That's why those numbers don't match. We're really at about 160 recruits, and frankly, that number changes just hourly. We're seeing a great uptick because of the collaborations such as this with Minot Chamber EDC and others throughout the state, really promoting this program and getting the information out. And then really our outcomes are exactly where we want them to be. We're seeing around that $50,000 mark for those that are coming through that program. And again, we know and understand that an individual in the IT sector, their median salary looks very, very different than someone in advanced manufacturing. So we had to look at something that $45,000 a year more oftentimes is higher than that. So this is really about the immediacy, right? So we're really talking through the immediacy and wanting to make sure that we can do that by October. But one of the great components of this grant is also the sustainability and lasting impact that we're seeing and what we're learning throughout the way with the Good Jobs Challenge. I'm sure all of you are like, well, this is a 3-year grant. Why am I just hearing about this? We've ran into a lot of barriers, some lessons learned, not only us as a community and as a region, but also this is the first time that the EDA has administered this award. We don't anticipate that there will be a no-cost extension beyond September of 25, but we're really hoping so. So if we have those monies left over, that we can continue to provide that. But one of the great things with sustainability and lasting impact is the Good Jobs Challenge helped us work very, very closely with NDSU and others at the National Science Foundation to build out a network of industry sector partnerships. So we have piloted those within our communities. And essentially what we're trying to do is strive for that lasting impact of sector and individual advancement, having some of those regional conversations. And I think, especially if you're from higher education, I'm a recovering higher education administrator, that you're saying, like, I'm talking to industry all the time. We do talk to industry all the time with education, but what we're not doing is we're not including those support systems. We're not having those regional conversations like we're having on that state level about what are all the intricacies of this. I would say that Minot is one of the champions of this that has done this well with their workforce committee of really bringing everyone together, but having that consistent across the state is not happening. And so one of the things that we learned from doing our industry sector partnerships, or at least starting those within our Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo community, is that we're learning things about just some tweaks that we can make between training and what business and industry need, and making those very small tweaks to better meet that workforce. And it's amazing that when we bring those individuals in, and then we have some of our services and support agencies saying, well, we can also help with that. And so just getting everyone on that same page and having those consistent conversations, which I know there's been a ton of wins in the Minot region because of that workforce committee that's already happening. So we're really looking to replicate that throughout the state. And so our industry sector partnerships are one of the things that we're going to try to do throughout the state. And the Farms NSF Engine Grant has provided us some opportunity to do that related to agriculture. And so if you're not familiar with the Farms grant, I'll be sharing a little bit about that. But essentially what we're going to be trying to do is to start up industry sector partnerships across the state in the 8 economic development regions, but really utilizing individuals in every county to bring and lift up the voice to help us better understand and align with how we can not only solve workforce issues, but ensure that we're taking what is working locally and how we can identify how to scale it globally. When we were considered for the NSF grant, one of the things that they were so impressed about with us in North Dakota is really that ability of what I just talked about, to really sit down, have those conversations, and to be nimble. And I know we've talked about how we're not as nimble because of the biennium legislature and all of those things, but really in North Dakota, we can pick up the phone and call someone across the state and probably figure out who their sister, brother, or cousin is and have that connection. And I don't say that as a joke. It's true that we really do embrace that community impact. And if there's someone new to our community, we do the same thing about welcoming them and introducing them and creating those networks and connections. And so when NSF looked at us as an opportunity and did a site visit a year ago with us, we shared what we were learning with a Good Jobs Challenge grant with some of those conversations we were having, but then also just saying, like, use us as a test bed to figure out what is working locally and being able to scale that globally. So it was kind of converse mindset. Usually NSF and those federal funders are always looking to figure out what is working globally that we can bring small scale. We flipped that narrative, and they funded us for the first 3 years so far, and we'll be doing that Ag Technology Network. And the Ag Tech Knowledge Network really will be simply meetings in your communities, in our communities across North Dakota. We're going to have 8 of them. We're going to get people together. We're going to find out who are not at the table to identify related to workforce and related to ag technology, because those two are so closely aligned because of our workforce needs in North Dakota. What is working locally, or what could work locally, and how could we share that out either to another region, to another state, or globally? So we will be doing these intersector partnerships. So this is my shameless ask. I'm going to have 2 of them. First, talk to me about Good Jobs Challenge. Shout that from the rooftops. We want to do that. But the second is, when we start to activate these industry sector partnerships and these ag tech knowledge conversations throughout the state, participate. Encourage your colleagues to participate, because that's how we're going to learn from all of you. Right now, here's where they're looking at. Obviously, you can see we're planning one on Region 2. I have advocated that we're going to be doing that in January. Yes, I'll be coming back to Minot in January by choice. So just be in the know. So when we're talking about, when you hear NDSU, when you hear NSF, when you hear farms, that is not just related to agriculture. This is really about workforce development to support our ag technology throughout the entire world. But first, understanding that locally. So initially, as I mentioned, those pilot meetings will be happening. We will be looking to identify future participants. I know Brecca and Kelly are really excited about me probably calling them again to try to get more information on how they have done that up here in Minot and how we can best replicate that throughout the state. So with that, I just would ask for your collaboration. I said I'm going to ask a few things of you. Is really share the Good Jobs Challenge opportunity. I know all of you work with a different type of sector of our workforce, whether that be individuals that are seeking, individuals that are looking to upskill, or you yourself are trying to fulfill those jobs within your businesses or organizations. We can help potentially with those individuals. It is literally an online form that takes like 30 seconds, and we can test someone's eligibility and try to get the ball rolling with them. Our goal is 900. We have funding for just under 2,000. So we really have that opportunity. Encourage training and education partners. I know President Shirley and I have talked about some of the certificate programs that Minot State offers. That could be a good opportunity for us, again, get them on board as a training and education provider. It's already been through the North Dakota University system legal, so that helps. That goes a little bit quicker. And then just engage in our ag technology knowledge network. And so when we have those meetings, and you see my name, or you see NSF, Farms, or NDSU, we encourage you just to engage with us to help us better understand and learn from all of you about what is working in your smaller communities, in your medium-sized communities that we can bring and learn from and share as well. So with that, I know that I have a little bit of time, but I wanted to make sure if there's time for any questions. There are information on your table. We also have the cards that you'll see on your table and that you can see on the slide here is the card that's really meant for those individuals that are interested with going into the Good Jobs Challenge, right? So that would be maybe the student. That would be maybe an individual you're working with, or maybe one of your employees. The one pager really is for those individuals, those business and industry partners that are like, so what does this really mean? Why is this too good to be true? What we typically do when people are interested in activating with us, whether that be a training and education partner or a business and industry partner, we typically just hop on a Zoom call, onboard them. It's usually a 2 to 3 day turnaround and process. So it goes fairly quickly. So again, Brecca and Kelly and the workforce committee here at the Minot Chamber EDC, thank you so much for doing this, for engaging in these conversations. They're so incredibly important. Shameless plug, there's going to be one November 21st in Fargo if anyone wants to come to learn more about the different programs that are happening in our community as well. So thank you. Questions? There was almost a clap. And again, Brenna and I will be hanging out for the rest of the day and just really appreciate this opportunity. So thank you.